Welcome to the FML podcast, the podcast on a mission to uncover actionable insights, explore the latest trends, and to catalyze your fintech's growth. Join Growth Gorilla's founder and managing director, Shameer Sachdev, and some of fintech's hardest hitting marketers and leaders.
Welcome everyone to today's episode of the FML podcast. Today we're joined by Joao Monteiro, CEO of Carteira X, an award-winning fintech entrepreneur. Let's just jump straight into it. You're the founder and CEO of a number of companies, especially within the fintech and financial services space. Can you just tell us about your journey so far and how you've ended up where you are?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here talking with you, Shameer, and I really appreciate this time to share a bit more about my past, my experience, and also what we are planning for the future. My background started from the banking side. I'm originally from Portugal. After studying management and economics, I ended up starting my career on the banking world in Portugal. I built my career dealing with clients and on the sales side of the businesses. It was always something that's really interested me was the communication with clients, talking with people. And so I end up building, obviously, network with clients, managing client portfolios and so on. Back in 2012, I end up having the opportunity to move into Cyprus and to be part of some brokerages firms in Cyprus, which is a very, very strong market here in Cyprus. I've been here a couple of years, then I moved temporarily to UK, to London, and been working in the city for a couple of years as well, managing the sales department on some brokerage firm. And then I ended up coming back to Cyprus to managing as executive director of a brokerage for 6 years. After 6 years running a brokerage firm, which was not mine, I got the light saying that now was the time to get something of my own. I ended up creating my own brokerage, forex. And then from that moment, I kind of expanded a bit my horizon into other markets, into the fintech, into the AI, now more recently into the banking, online banking. And I kind of tried to cover a bit all the branches, let's say, of this business, because the brokerage nowadays, it's kind of not just for the fact that it's a high-risk investment overall, it kind of also deals with a lot of challenges with the banking, with different providers of liquidity. There's many things that end clients does not see. And so we ended up kind of trying to minimize the risks across all the levels that are part of this business. And so we ended up trying to control a bit the things the best way possible. And so we now more recently with online banking also ended up helping us a lot into going to this banking world and to facilitate as well our own clients on the brokerage as well to be able to fund their investment accounts. So it's kind of ecosystem that we are trying to build.
One of the main reasons we're here is to kind of talk about your latest venture, which is Carteira X, digital bank out in Brazil. Are your other ventures like forex, are they predominantly focused on South America, Brazil, or are they a little bit more global, or is it quite a mixture?
We are global. We have clients from all over the world, except US for legal reasons. It's a tough market. We kind of focus a lot in LATAM. I think it's a very, very strong market. It's growing very, very at very fast pace. And it's a kind of market where from the beginning I managed to create solid partnerships. Brazil and the fact that I speak Portuguese obviously helped in building these relations. But it's a very, very strong market. There are more than 220 million people. And I believe if my stats are correct, only 4% of the 220 million invests abroad. So it's a very, very interesting market nowadays. And so we try to jump into this new venture. And so far we are very pleased how the things are going.
Amazing. So, where are you in CarteiraX's journey? Have you launched yet? Are you actively onboarding clients now?
We did launch recently, 2 months ago. As a matter of fact, we are kind of setting up this ecosystem in order to offer the best journey for all our clients, not just individual clients, but also companies and on the business B2B as well. We cover some clients. What we are trying to achieve is definitely to have some user-friendly journey when it comes to online banking, when it comes to facilitate investments, when it comes to offer insurance, when it comes to offer microcredit of different sorts. So we can try to offer all-in-one package that really can facilitate not just the journey on the online banking, which I believe it grew massively after COVID restriction. I think we all got used to talk less than before, I believe. I think since the fact that we were not more into the personal relationship of going to the bank and so on. So ended up doing everything online, over the phone. We are less receptive of interaction, I would say. Every service we try to have the possibility to access it with the less interaction as possible. And so these online services, online banking, bank as a service, all the online investment companies are exactly trying to make this journey as smooth as possible, exactly for people to be able to achieve and to reach all the information that they need without even talking with a representative of the entity. So this is what we are trying to achieve, exactly to make it as smooth and simple as possible.
What do you see as the big opportunity for CarteiraX in Brazil? Are you trying to reach a slightly more sort of underserved market or the unbanked, or is there sort of the wider market that you're going after?
We go step by step. First, it was extremely important for us to be present in Brazil legally. I think that this is extremely important to get a license. We do not engage and we never engage in soliciting business in countries which we are not able to. And so for us was also the possibility to be licensed, in this case by Central Bank in Brazil, and really to have a branch of our group legally represented in Brazil. At the same time, this brings overall credibility by default as well, because we are a group of companies which really are trying to be doing the things right. And so we try to tick all the boxes when it comes to transparency, when it comes to all the legality of the things. At the same time, we see a lot of potential in Brazil. So we believe that the bank as a service and all the services related to banking, and Brazil is very rich in this kind of microcredits on credits that are offered specifically for public working people, for governments which have access to different kinds of credits. Even something that, for example, myself from Portugal, we are not so used to see it on a daily basis, but in Brazil is extremely common. The purchase in installments of any sort, when you go to a shop and you do some POS purchase with a card. In Brazil, everything it's allows you to partially do the payment in installments very easily. I think in UK the things are already very implemented on that aspect, but in other countries in Europe is not yet so developed. And Brazil is really strong on that. So there's for those who are kind of giving solutions. Also into the credit world side of things, really has a lot of potential. And then to apply that, and at the same time, to give a possibility also to merge our expertise and our knowledge and our solutions into the investment side of things, can create really an interesting all-in-one solution for people in Brazil. And our idea is once this idea is implemented, tested, working fully, then our plan is exactly to replicate this same idea into the rest, all the other countries in Latin America.
I'd just be really interested to just dig in a little bit into the growth side of things, obviously with the intention that you want to expand into Latin America, but you've already successfully expanded and grown forex. I'd be really interested to dig into that. Could you just sort of Tell me more about how you've driven the growth for Forexy, and then what learnings you'll take from that you think will help you drive growth for Carteira X.
Our goal with the Forexy from the beginning, from day one, was always to focus a kind of a customer centricity driving, I would say. We always try to listen to our clients to see what were their requests in terms of trading experience. We always try to be always at the best of our capabilities to assist clients with excellent customer support. This has been always our focus, number one. The brokerage is, in fact, I think for the last 2-3 years, been always awarded with customer service, different awards. So that's really been our focus in giving really the nice customer support, because there's so many brokerages around the world, everyone trying to compete with the tightest spread, with the higher leverage, with the different kind of assets. But I think people underestimate also the power of a very good customer support. And so we've been, not just for Brazil, but I think everywhere, we try to always to be by the side of the clients. Also, not being yet a big company in the industry, we understand our limitations and we understand our size. We started back in 2018, so we are 5 years old, so we are not yet competing with the biggest names in the industry. We also understand that this can also be an advantage in other ways, because being a smaller boutique brokerage allows us to give much more attention to small details and to give much more attention to the customer needs and preference and what they are looking for. So we are able to understand and analyze more and to be in a closer contact with clients. Because when we start growing and we start having hundreds of thousands of clients, and we are unable, as perfectly natural, to dedicate so much time to each client. So the personal contact and the interaction with clients starts losing its momentum as the company grows.
I suppose that customer experience, customer service is something naturally you're going to try and move over to Carteira X. Yes. How do you think that will work in a purely digital environment?
I believe that the use of the AI can also facilitate this user journey. We try, even though that we are always available for this support of clients, we have nowadays tools which can really facilitate this interaction with clients. And Brazil, for example, it's very strong in Brazil already, the different chat bots that they built, even on WhatsApp, which is it's a communication tool. In Brazil, it's been used already for, if I remember, for more than 2-3 years already. Chatbots, which really can streamline all the FAQs and all the questions that are more asked. Also, on the payment side, I think, and the payments via WhatsApp been the first experiment, let's say, from WhatsApp on the payment world started from Brazil. So it's really also an interesting part. So there are tools which you can still use in the digital world to make this interaction and this support of clients a very smooth way. The communication, there are people that still like to talk and to clarify things with agents, and that will never disappear. But overall, I believe that less and less people are very keen to be on the line and waiting for an agent to talk. People are rushing. We live in a very fast-paced life nowadays. And so everything, if it's not accessible via mobile, people start thinking, is that really the best solution? This is how we evolve the business, is understanding the technology, understanding the market trends.
It'd be hard for me not to mention Nubank when we're talking about Brazil. They've been hugely successful out in Brazil and done incredibly well. What is Carteira X's unique value proposition against a brand like Nubank that has over the last few years grown rapidly, and there are quite a huge number of users and they've been immensely successful? Where do you see Carteira X taking their slice of the pie?
We covered different points. Each brand has obviously their values. Nubank is an excellent project, and definitely it's a great brand to get inspired more than to be trying to take market share. We do have a business, and obviously we want to grow as much as possible. I think as the time passes, there are a few points which we try to focus on in order to really to achieve success. One was how we're handling data. I think the cybersecurity, it's a really an interesting subject nowadays. And so it's extremely important for us to make sure that we have really a solution that is protected against cyber attacks. Customer information is in fact saved properly. Then we tried as well to create a solution which is investment friendly. I think that not just this the traditional banking with a card and the payment of utility bills and so on. Is exactly to be able to have a place that can really add value, or to really come up with a nice proposition of investment, which is really the business model we want to build with, based on investment, and to offer solutions outside Brazil, because there's a lot of investment solutions in Brazil, but there's other possibilities abroad that people are not aware of. The scalability of the business and the possibility also to interact with other big players in Brazil, it's also important for us. So we do not want to build something which is a solution that's going to fight the big players. We are very open to collaboration, to have create products in collaboration with existing entities in Brazil, which are solid, which know the market better than us. So we are open exactly to this collaboration. I think it's the possibilities to listening to create, to be focused a lot on the technology innovation. I think we want to come up with solutions either through the mobile app itself, but also the possibility to really to create products from the investment side, but also from the credit side, and the possibility to make people's life a little bit easier in a country where we know that there's a big discrepancy between those who really have, which are wealthy, and those who are really living in a very short salaries. So we want to facilitate and to make also products which can help people that are studying, people are really looking into some assistance to make their goals and their projects live. And so we will be really focused in giving solutions for these people too.
Whenever I think of Latin America, the two kind of things that come to mind, one is, at the moment, obviously, territories like Argentina are seeing hyperinflation, and territories like Brazil have become huge adopters of crypto. Now, obviously, CarteiraX and forex, obviously hugely focused on the banking and the investment side of things. Is there a desire for CarteiraX to venture into the crypto space? And then I suppose, how do you think CarteiraX can help or benefit users in some of the territories where there is hyperinflation and benefit their end users?
Our answer is definitely yes. We've been following a lot all the developments in Brazil and in Latam in general into the crypto space. Me personally, I follow and I adopted the crypto world a long time ago. But I do see that it's more not just to adopt the crypto solutions, but also it's how this can be done within legal frameworks of each country, because we see that crypto is definitely always seen with cautious in regards to AML and all the anti-money laundering procedures of each country and financial institutions in general. We want, at the same time, not to be backfiring on us from a perspective also of the credibility that I mentioned a few minutes ago. When you are into the banking world, adding crypto definitely opens a lot of doors, but at the same time might affect our credibility in the long term. So we are analyzing it carefully to make sure that the local regulators embrace it in a much better way. And I believe that every government, especially the governments that are dealing with very high inflation, like Argentina, and we had Salvador before, and so on. So we understand that these countries might implement it faster than the others. We are carefully waiting, and once the opportunity comes, we will definitely join. And I think sooner or later, this is my opinion, every country will end up licensing this kind of crypto assets, either through a license of its kind, or even the governments themselves will end up creating their own crypto currency, and then people will need to abide a bit based on their own government's instructions.
I think if there's a territory or an area of the world that's going to head in that direction probably quicker than others, it'll probably be LATAM. I mean, obviously El Salvador have pretty much adopted Bitcoin as a national country, so you've got no choice but to use crypto out there. What are the trends within the sort of fintech space that are exciting you most at the moment?
In terms of trend, I believe that everything that are related with the financial world, obviously, it's not just in terms of the AI, in terms of the robo-advisors. There's something that really caught my attention lately, which is something called NLP, which is natural language processing, which is a kind of allowing computers and software to analyze human language and to understand and to try to get keywords from what people are saying, from central banks, from news article, and to be able to extract some market sentiment from it. I think this is really, really interesting because there's data release, there are news every day, all this moves the markets. But sometimes there are subliminary messages on some reports and some speeches which really can give that edge in terms of giving some information that can really be useful on analyzing the market. So all this understanding of being able to read information, the robot advisors, every investment bank now is using robots to analyze their portfolios, to understand, to add machine learning. So this is already being implemented for quite a long time. And then there are all the systems and the use of technology. And I'm curious also to see their own chat GPTs of Bloomberg, of JP Morgan, they are building their own chat GPTs for their own purpose. That is something that really already caught my attention. I'm really curious to see the end result of, for example, Bloomberg AI, which I think can be very interesting too.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think the AI space I think it's still in somewhat early stages. I think there's a way to go, but I think there's a huge amount of opportunity there, and I think the next few years is going to be somewhat interesting in that space. I've only got a few minutes left. What I want to do is just sort of switch streams a little bit and just talk more around sort of the entrepreneurship element or side of you, really. So you've obviously you've already set up one business that's obviously been very, very successful. In fact, I think you're running a number of businesses, if I'm not mistaken. It's not just forex and Carteira X. Probably the most obvious question I want to ask is, what is your approach or ethos to setting up a business, and then how do you find the capacity to then set up and run another business? How do you manage that? What do you think the almost the secret to your success has been?
It's probably too vague, but I think it's really, really an interesting way of saying. I try to listen more than I speak, to be honest. I try also to understand and to get people that are really qualified in the different kind of business to be by my side. Some people like to run in the show and to micromanage. I do like to delegate. I like to trust people. I like to bring people that really are knowledgeable and had experience in similar kind of businesses before. I try to be surrounded with people that really know and that can pass and can bring their knowledge and their suggestions to the table. I think at the end of the day, and I can speak from my experience, I knew what I wanted. I also learned a lot across all the past experience that I had in the financial markets. I was trying always to understand the logic and the purpose of everything. And then from there, I tried to pinpoint everything that my clients were asking, to understand what they were looking for, to create a place where people really could see what they asked me for. And then being able to build the things with people that were by my side, where really could understand as well my way of thinking. I tried to be able to make my structure as less riskier as possible, with covering as many variants of the business itself as possible. And so the payments, the customer service, the onboarding, the technology also behind brokerage, which is really, really important, which sometimes is not seen by clients, was also a very focus from our side. We have a huge development. The group itself, we have now more than 20 people just on the IT side. They're working daily exactly to make all the technology as smooth as possible, and with new market trend solutions come to the markets as fast as possible. So we need to give a step sometimes into the unknown, but you really need sometimes to, if you really believe that you have that product that can really make the difference, you need to have that perseverance to achieve what you want, because sometimes it looks like you are not going on the right direction, but at the same time, sometimes you are in the middle of like a bridge, let's say, and there's no way back, and we really need to go forward and keep pushing, and the things end up, if you are really pushing it and you have the right people next to you to help you, I think normally the things work well.
My last question before we wrap up: beyond Carteira X, what's on the horizon for you next?
In terms of plans for the group of companies, as I mentioned, I believe is now to make our presence and to solidify our presence with the current brands, to expand our range of licenses around the world. From the bank itself, the Carteira X is to be able after to expand to other countries in LATAM, to be able to cover different markets with the same products, but kind of adjusted into each reality. So it's really important for us to understand each market, because we cannot have a solution that fits all LATAM, for example. It's each market is different. It's good to have people on the ground as well that can really have this interaction with clients, that can really pass us the feedback of what people are looking for. And so this is our plan, is exactly to have offices in all LATAM countries, and to get this feedback from clients, and to create really a user-friendly and easy solution to cover all these countries. And then having this financial ecosystem across LATAM can really put us in a position after to go into more deep products and development overall into the investment world.
Amazing. Well, before we wrap up, I'd like to go to our quick fire round. What podcasts are you listening to at the moment?
The time it's been really tight lately with all the businesses, but when I have time, I try to listen to one called Masters in Business from some Barry. I cannot, but I know that it's listed on Apple. It's called Masters in Business.
Cool. And aside from your own businesses, what's your favorite fintech company?
I do follow all the developments always from similar companies such as TransferWise. Wise, they've been doing an excellent job lately. The Revolut is known as well for their development. Coinbase as well. I'm curious to see the fact that how the crypto and how we were talking about how can they really go around this crypto products and solutions. And at the same time, I'm also curious to see the future, because all these companies, and they were extremely exposed in US. And so the US banks also, and lately the collapsing of Silicon Valley, I believe caused a bit of small damage into this company. So seeing how they can recover as well from this, and how can they evolve in the next 5-10 years.
And what books are you currently reading, or would you recommend?
The books that I'm currently having in my night table, and which I try sometimes at night to keep reading it, is book called A Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burton Markle.
And my last question, what's one thing that I haven't asked you that perhaps I should have?
I believe that maybe you asked in an indirectly way, but I think there's a question that for me it's always quite funny, but it's a question that I've been always asked in every job interview, which was, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Which is always that random question, and I think in a podcast it's always good to have this. From my side, I see myself doing exactly the same type of thing, in this striving and to looking for solutions for my clients and to building solutions. That's always my goal. I believe in 10 years from now, to be honest with you, I'll probably will have some AI advisor robot taking out of 80% of my daily work for sure. I think we'll all have some kind of AI concierge of different sorts, but that's what I say. I think keep looking, understanding what my clients are asking, and coming up with solutions.
Brilliant, Joao. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. Great speaking to you.
Likewise. Really, thank you for having me.
The FML podcast is brought to you by Growth Gorilla. To find out how our marketing growth experts can boost your fintech's growth, head to growthgorilla.co.uk. And make sure to search for the FML podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Don't forget to click follow to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Growth Gorilla, thanks for listening.